Korean craftsmen on parade. In ages past, Koreans discovered the art of combining sticky black lacquer with empty shells scattered about the seashore to create unique art objects with practical uses. Lacquerware. The delicate yet dexterous hands of this old man reflect his adroit skills. Keeping things tidy, he goes about his work meticulously. He is an heir of an age-old wisdom and dexterity that create highly refined beauty out of seemingly worthless objects. Traditionally, Koreans have enriched their lives by using such artistic handicraft items as furniture or tools. Mother-of-pearl inlaid lacquerware requires lacquering, applying hemp cloth, grinding and inlaying mother-of-pearl. Watch how the mother-of-pearl is being laid. Here the artisan is arranging tiny pieces of mother-of-pearl in a geometric pattern. When inlaying is finished, another thick coat of lacquer is applied and dried. Drying takes place in a chest which maintains a relative humidity of about 70% and a temperature of over 23 degrees centigrade. After drying, lacquer is scraped away from the decorative pattern. The finished product emerges only after several repetitions of lacquering, drying and scraping. How long would it take to make such a product? From planning and designing to finishing touches involves 17 different steps. The job takes 3 months at least, and as long as 3 years in some cases. Lacquer is known to resist moisture, insects and other damage. Lacquerware products therefore last for many, many years. Instead of lacquer and mother-of-pearl, thin, shaved-off slices of ox-horn and nickel may be used for decorating furniture or tools. Horn of 3 or 4-year-old oxen is cut into paper-thin pieces. Various colored patterns are drawn on them, and they are glued on nickel plates. The thickness of the horn when sliced and trimmed is about 3/10 of a millimeter. Now the horn pieces are placed on the pattern and the outline of the pattern is traced. Coloring is done with the same pigment as used for oriental painting. Highly viscous glue can be obtained from a mixture of ordinary glue and fish glue. Korean ancestors first tried to use the skin of turtles for decorating furniture. It was an early attempt at obtaining a transparent material. In days gone by, learned Korean men declined the use of inlaid furniture because it was too showy, so it was used for women's rooms. Bamboo grows only in the southern part of Korea. The people therefore treasure bamboo as a material for handicraft items such as bamboo cases. Peeling off long strips of bamboo bark is by no means easy. Only skilled hands can do the job. Men usually do the peeling, and women take over the jobs of dyeing and weaving. Patterns can be various, but the most popular ones include those of a bell, swastika, or Chinese characters meaning health and longevity. The traditional Korean top hat is another product of bamboo handicraft. The stiff yet pliant visor is woven with bamboo bark. The material used in this case is not the bamboo bark itself. It is many strands of fine hair-like bamboo thread peeled off from the bark by bending it suddenly. Each piece of bamboo thread is smoothed down, a round warp is made out of it, and it is woven into the visor with the woof. It is delicate work demanding good eyesight. Now lacquer is applied on the woven visor, and silk thread is laid on top of each bamboo thread. A well-made visor still has meshes even after the application of silk thread. The crown, or upper portion of the top hat, is woven from horse or oxtail hair. After weaving, glue is applied. Silk cloth is laid on and lacquer is applied on top. Visors and crowns are made separately in different areas, and assembling the two is done by artisans specializing in this work. The price of a Korean top hat has always been high because extremely delicate and painstaking work was demanded in its making. Koreans make decorative bamboo items by drawing patterns and pictures or inscribing with a hot flat iron. Heating the flat iron is as delicate as its use, because too hot an iron can burn the material, while an iron not adequately heated cannot draw. Korean masks are not handicraft items in the strict sense, but nearly so. They are made by almost anyone, as well as artisans. They often reflect simplicity, naivety, and local color. Masks are used for village festivals held in January by the lunar calendar, or in mask plays for public showing. The typical theme of such mask plays centers on commoners' ridicule against the nobility. The Korean bow is made from a combination of horn, bamboo, cow's tendon, and mulberry wood. A single buffalo horn can provide the material for only one bow. Bow making starts by cutting and trimming buffalo horn into a thin strip. It is then lined with bamboo, and cow tendons are stuck to the inner surface with fish glue. To stick the material securely, a piece of string is wound around temporarily. The bow usually takes the form of a circular arc, but when the bow string is fastened to the nocks, it is deliberately bent in the reverse direction. Such pliability and elasticity stem from the good qualities of the materials. In the old days, archers applying for the position of military officer are said to have formed a long line extending 190 meters. In olden days, Koreans wore hand-woven cotton cloth, so almost every Korean woman learnt the skill of hand weaving. However, hand weaving began to decline from the beginning of this century as power looms and petrochemical fabrics started to dominate the market, and only a handful of weavers are found in certain parts of the country today. Koreans used to make cord by twisting together several strands of thread by hand. Such cords were used for purses or men's robes with tassels attached to their ends. Here, the tassels are being made. String knots were, and still are, very popular. Knots are made by tying pieces of string. String knots used as hanging decorations have tassels connected to the ends. Korean women's trinkets are an example of such decorative knots. Korean embroidery developed under the influence of Buddhist art. From the 18th century on, embroidery has been used mainly for decorative purposes for costumes. Korean embroidery is divided into double and single embroidery. The former was used for costumes in the royal court, and the latter by the common people. Even the commoners found wide applications for the less stylish single embroidery. As both clay and water were good, pottery making developed in early days in Korea. The raw material for Korean white porcelain is sticky white kaolin. Potters select a kiln site near a pine grove for fuel and where water is available. White porcelain is painted in underglazed blue or red with the design of one of the four gracious plants: plum, orchid, chrysanthemum and bamboo, or a single of longevity, producing a simple but pleasing decorative design. Finally, the glaze, prepared by a secret recipe, is applied. Pottery is baked in an inclined kiln at a temperature of 1,300 degrees centigrade, burning pine wood for fuel. The temperature is controlled and maintained through experience, not by mechanical means. White porcelain is seen as a reflection of Korean beauty. Simple designs in underglazed blue or red with much open space gives a pleasing impression. Though influenced by Song China, Korean celadon has its own unique style, colour and pattern. The elegant and refined techniques of inlaying were developed in this country. While baking, the iron content and foreign matter become ferrous oxide, which gives a jade green colour. Specially prepared glaze could produce purple or white colour as well. It is customary that a potter holds a simple ceremony offering a prayer before firing the kiln begins. He knows that too early oxidation of the iron could destroy the celadon colour. Korean metal craft originated in the Bronze Age, which started from around the 8th century BC. And developed down through the centuries covering the Iron Age and the Gold and Silver Age. The techniques of casting, forging, alloying and inlaying developed hand in hand, producing art treasures in abundance. Here, a metal craft specialist is inlaying the pattern with blackish copper, an alloy of copper and gold, on a silver vessel. Brassware making were also developed. Alloys made from copper, zinc or tin, according to use, were widely employed for producing ceremonial objects or articles for daily use. Meanwhile, special decoration techniques for ironware were developed. The method involved chiseling the iron plate with a sharp burin and inlaying with silver or gold. Though some examples are found in bronzeware, this technique was applied mostly to ironware, adopting different methods according to the pattern. Knife making was the monopoly of swordsmiths, but as the people, especially women, began to carry small knives with them, makers of ornamental knives appeared. It is true that ornamental knife making is a metal craft, but only men with rare manual dexterity became professional makers. There are those who make both knives and cases, but they often let swordsmiths make the blades while concentrating on decoration of the hilts and cases. The materials used for sheaths are varied: silver, crystal, wood, bone or bamboo. It is said that an ornamental knife maker is a man of all trades in the field of traditional Korean crafts. traditional Korean house is composed basically of two sections, the inner room for the housewife and the outer section for the dwelling of the husband. It is natural, therefore, that the furniture in one section differs from that in the other. However, furnishings of modern Korean houses are in the course of major changes, and so are traditional handicrafts. Although modernization and mechanization have brought about drastic changes in the furniture industry, traditional Korean crafts with their unique, elaborate and exquisite elements will live on as long as the people treasure the precious objects bequeathed to them by their ancestors.